I'm Jason UFC, and today we have a story about Kelvin Gastelum calls out Dricus du Plessis for a title eliminator bout at UFC 290. Kelvin Gastelum has called out Dricus du Plessis for a middleweight title eliminator fight this summer at UFC 290, following a poor run, a 1-5 run. Kelvin Gastelum got back to winning earlier this month. He did so by defeating Chris Curtis in an absolute war, although some felt as if Chris Curtis should have been the one to get the nod. Either way, Calvin is back in the win column, and that's all he could have asked for. Since then, many have wondered what his next move will be at 185 pounds. He's still young and had some trouble against other fighters in the top 10 in recent years. While it may seem like a lofty ambition, Gastelum recently put forward a challenge to none other than Dricus du Plessis. Title Eliminator versus Dricus du Plessis on July 8th. What do you say, Dricus? Let me see. Kelvin Gastelum has always made his primary objective clear: win the world title. In order to do that, he has to beat the best. Dricus du Plessis is 5-0 since joining the Ultimate Fighting Championship, with 4 finishes to his name. With most recently, he was able to defeat Derek Brunson. Before that, he defeated Darren Till. Okay, we don't have to go through the rest part of this. I can't hate on what Kelvin Gastelum is doing, right? One win versus Chris Curtis, who I believe Chris Curtis is in the top 15 as far as middleweight rankings, but Dricus du Plessis 5-0. I think Dricus du Plessis is in the top maybe 5 at the moment. Kelvin Gastelum maybe like 11, 12 or something like that. So I don't know if Dricus du Plessis is necessarily going to be taking a fight like this. I think Kelvin Gastelum, I respect what Kelvin Gastelum is doing. I think he's doing the 100% correct thing. You should win your fight. And, before we used to have like what people would call Twitter fingers. When someone would win a fight at a UFC event, everyone would call them out and they would just stay quiet. They would just be like, you know what, I'm going to just rest. Let me just chill. But now we have like the opposite. We have now like when someone wins a fight, they get on Twitter and start calling people out, right? Like it's interesting to see how it has changed. And Kelvin Gastelum keeping his name in the algorithm, keeping his name available for the middleweight division. We had 2 champions in the middleweight division in the last year. Israel Adesanya lost the belt to Alex Pereira. Then Alex Pereira lost the belt to Israel Adesanya. Gastelum does have a loss to Israel Adesanya already. And also Gastelum sees that Dricus du Plessis is getting into like a beef with Israel Adesanya. So it does look like Israel Adesanya and Dricus du Plessis may be next. That seems like that will be the next fight. Gastelum, a fight versus maybe like a Brendan Allen, maybe a Sean Strickland. I think maybe Gastelum versus Sean Strickland would be a good fight. Maybe a Jared Cannonier. There's a lot of good fights for Gastelum in the middleweight division. I don't think he's gonna get the Dricus du Plessis fight next. I don't really see them making that fight for the UFC perspective, but I 100% respect what Kelvin Gastelum is doing right here. He's not letting people call him out. He's calling people out. I like this new. It's not new, but it's newer than what people were doing at original. When you win a fight, you're all beat up, you have a black eye, you're all tired. Everybody's calling you out, saying, I want to fight you, I want to fight you. Now it's, okay, you have the black eye, you're beat up, and you're like, hey, I want to fight this person who didn't fight, right? Like, where you at, Dricus du Plessis? But I respect it. I don't think Dricus du Plessis is going to take this fight. I don't think the UFC is going to make this fight. I think Dricus du Plessis is most likely going to fight Israel Adesanya next. I would like I said, I would like to see Gastelum versus Allen, Gastelum versus maybe Sean Strickland. That seems like that could be an interesting fight. Maybe Sean Strickland would be pretty high on the list, or maybe even Apollo Costa next. But let me know your opinion on this story. Who do you want to see Kelvin Gastelum fight next? And who do you want to see Dricus du Plessis fight next? I would say Kelvin Gastelum versus Sean Strickland or Allen. And Dricus du Plessis 100% versus Israel Adesanya next. I'm Jason, UFC. Today we had a story about the UFC middleweight division. Kelvin Gastelum has called out Dricus du Plessis for what he would call a title eliminator bout at UFC 290. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the $1 donation button, and please tune in to the next video on this channel. Thanks a million for watching.